Well, Michelle Grattan, the end of the first week of the campaign, which has had a focus on the economy. Will this economic focus continue, or do you think other themes will emerge?
I think the economic focus will continue. The official budget update is out on Tuesday. That's signed off by Treasury and Finance, and that will tell us definitively what the bottom line of the budget is. There'll be a lot of argument about that. The opposition has questioned Treasury's numbers, been quite critical of them up to this point. So there'll be that next week. Also, I think the Labor Party believes it still has quite a lot of work to do on the question of economic management, convincing people that it's the party that can take the economy forward.
Peter Beattie's emergence yesterday was, I guess, a surprise. Will this have a more general effect, or will it really only be about the particular seat he's standing for in Ford?
Every seat is very important, clearly, in this election, where the polls are showing the outcome is still relatively close in some and a little more for the Liberals in others. But the advent of Peter Beattie, I think, is also important more widely in Queensland. For Labor, of course, Queensland is such an important battleground. It's got to win seats, and it's turning into an election that in part is all about Queensland parochialism. Peter Beattie said yesterday it wasn't fair, to use his phrasing, that Queensland had such minimal representation in both state and federal parliament. He wanted it to have a stronger voice.
Well, we've seen the first of the campaign gaffes, and there seem to be a few Fruit Loops standing as candidates around the country. And of course, we've known the elections have been coming. Is this just how all campaigns are, or is there a particular problem about the quality of candidates this time?
You always get gaffes in campaigns. People make mistakes, there are stumbles all over the place. But I do think this issue of the quality of candidates is one that the parties need to think about, that there aren't all that many seats in the House of Representatives. Surely they can get top quality candidates to put before the constituents, and this is a question that goes to the recruitment of people to politics. Politics has become such a trade with a bad name that people are not all that attracted to being candidates, and then it goes to pre-selection procedures and trying to balance the local say in pre-selections with some captain's pick type system also, where good candidates can be encouraged and pushed into races. So it's a difficult balancing act, but it's also an important challenge, I think, for parties generally in the future. And of course, there has been discussion and some slight experimentation with systems of primaries, which gets the community more involved in choosing candidates, even though those people aren't formal members of the party.
Some of the polls, at least, suggest a softening of support for Labor and for Kevin Rudd. Is that just an inevitable settling after a honeymoon period, or do you think that might continue?
It's hard to know. I think that the round of opinion polls that we'll get in the next few days will give a better idea of that. But the point is, Kevin Rudd can't afford for the honeymoon to end. The honeymoon has to go right up to the election as far as he's concerned, because even in this honeymoon phase, he's only been at best on 50-50 of the two-party vote.
Well, a 5-week honeymoon's quite a long one. I can't help myself, the inevitable question at the end of the first week of the campaign, which, if either side, do you think has won week one?
I thought week one was pretty even. The first week, it seemed to me, didn't see any great breaks by either side, but it was interesting that I was talking to Saul Eslake, who's noted economist in the private sector. He gave the economic debate slightly to the coalition, but generally politically it seemed to me a pretty even race.
Well, thank you very much, Michelle Grattan. We'll meet again in a week's time to talk about how week 2 went.
Thank you.